Namaskar. I want to thank Chammu Krishna Shastri, who was previously head of Sanskrit Bharati, for so much support throughout this project of doing this book. This book is Battle for Sanskrit. Actually, it is Battle for Sanskriti. That is the real content. Sanskrit and Sanskriti are inseparable, one of the points, and I will discuss that. So Chammu Krishna Shastri has been supporting, defending, fighting with me, along with me. We are fighting the same people. And had it not been for him, I might not have done this book. Because how many people resisting, attacking, fighting, accusing, and you can't be alone, you need friends, you need allies. So I'm very grateful, and I promised him that everywhere in the world where I go, if there is any invite from Sanskrit Bharati, that will get the first priority. Yes. So we also have big event with Sanskrit Bharati in Mumbai, and then in US one in Toronto, one in Texas, like that. So it's very, very important for me. The study of Sanskrit and Sanskriti in the world is being controlled from outside, not from inside. Insiders are people with Shraddha, people who do sadhana, who think this is my heritage, for whom it is way of life. Outsiders are people who just look at this is somebody's culture, we will find what is wrong with it, we will argue, we will discuss. Now, Mandarin studies, China studies is controlled from insiders. All the journals are in China, important ones. Conferences are in China. The academic chairs are in China. Funding sources in China. Similarly, Japan studies, similarly Korea studies, insiders control. Arabic studies, Arabs control. The insiders control the study of Arabic, Persian, Mandarin, Japan studies, Korea studies, French, Russian. Sanskrit and Sanskriti are the only world civilizational system which is studied primarily from the outside. Because the most prestigious journals are run in foreign countries. The place where every Indian Sanskrit scholar in the academy wants to go to get his PhD is somewhere abroad. They have to give the thappa कि आप ठीक है, आपकी संस्कृत ठीक है, आपकी संस्कृत ठीक नहीं है, जो आप लिख रहे हैं वो allowed नहीं है. And the people who control these academic bodies are outside. In the British time, it used to be Goras. Now it is Indians trained by the Goras. Even worse, because they got Hindu names. Some of them have parents and grandparents very Vedic. But these are very westernized young people. They've gone to some Ivy League, got a degree, come back brainwashed. So this is very dangerous, because they can claim to be speaking for the tradition when actually they're speaking as outsiders. So this theme of the book is insiders versus outsiders. Who has the adhikar? Who should have the adhikar? This is what the book is about. The book is not teaching anybody Sanskrit, not telling you why it's a great language. Lot of very good publications exist for that. But book is doing Purva Paksh of the Western Indology. Both Westerners and Indians trained by them. Purva Paksh means studying the other from our drishti. Our drishti, studying the other. Who are they? What is their conclusion? What is right or wrong with it? How do we talk back? What are the consequences? Uttar Paksh is response. So this book, dedication of this book, says dedicated to our Purva Paksh and Uttar Paksh debating tradition. With gratitude to the Purva Pakshin opponents, I have learned that who I learned from. May we engage in this intellectual yagna with mutual respect. So I'm actually appreciating the opponent. Even though I disagree, I argue with them. But there is no insult, there is no fight on a personal level. There is no personal attack. It has to be very intellectual. So the problem I'm noticing is that Sanskrit and Sanskriti are being secularized, looked through the lens of atheists. So the Pramarthika part of Vedic tradition is being removed, Vyavharika only, so poetry, drama, very secular use. But the real origin of Sanskrit is inseparable from Vedas. You cannot separate that. So the whole project of Western Indology is to sideline the Vedas, abuse the Vedas, criticize the Vedas, and talk about this secularized, sanitized, clean Sanskrit. And the history of Sanskrit is being falsified. What they are claiming is that Buddhists forced the Vedic Brahmins to start writing Sanskrit, because before that they were very secretive and they did not want anyone else to find out. And the Buddhists were democrats, democracy-oriented people. And so Buddhists started writing, and then the Vedic Brahmins also had to write. And they are saying that most of the things that we consider important are after Buddha, because of Buddhist intervention. Even Valmiki's Ramayana, they are dating to be 200 years after Buddha. Yeah, and it copied Jataka tales and made up a story. This sort of distortion is what we are being told. So the question is, why am I the first person doing Purva Paksha on certain very powerful Western Sanskrit scholars? Why has nobody done Purva Paksha? Not on this big scale, so thorough. Why? Because I go around asking traditional scholars in Delhi University, JNU University, Sanskrit department, in various Sanskrit departments, Kannan, who is here from Karnataka University previously, and now Jain University. I've talked to many Sanskrit scholars, and I've asked them to help me also. Problem is, they have difficulty reading English, especially very, very complicated English, in which the Indologists are writing. So our tradition is being written in a way that our traditional people can't understand. This is very strange. So इसका मतलब आपके बारे में कोई लिख रहा है, वो इस तरह से, इस ढंग से लिख रहा है कि आप उसको पहचान ही नहीं पाएंगे, आपको समझ ही नहीं आएगी वो बोल क्या रहा है. हिंदी ठीक है, ठीक है, ओके. इसका मतलब कि आप अपनी कल्चर से एलियनेट हो रहे हैं, अलग हो रहे हैं, क्योंकि अपनी कल्चर के बारे में जो विचार किया जा रहा है, जो विचारधारा है, वो एलियन लोग, फॉरेन लोग कंट्रोल कर रहे हैं, और उसमें आपको समझने के लिए उनकी भाषा आपको आनी चाहिए, और उनका जो विचार है, फिलॉसफी, हिस्ट्री, सिद्धांत, उनका जो सिद्धांत है आपको आना चाहिए. So because our people are not trained to engage Western philosophy, Western thought, in which Indology is being written, our traditional scholars are outsiders. They become outsiders. They don't belong. They become outsiders to the Sanskrit studies. They are the insiders of the tradition. वो tradition के लोग हैं. This is their tradition. But in the scholarship they are thrown out. This is the strange part. And those who are outsider of the tradition, outside to the tradition, in terms of practicing it, the outsiders, they have become inside the control of the discourse. So this means that Sanskrit studies, Indology, and the actual practicing people are not the same. This is the problem I have. So because I live in US for 45 years now, I understand their culture, their way of life, उनका जो idiom है, उनका सिद्धांत है. I'm very thorough with that. And I'm very confident to fight also. I have no problem. और ना हमको कोई हायर कर सकता है, ना हमको कोई फायर कर सकता है, तो हमको कोई चिंता भी नहीं है. वो लड़ेंगे भी तो क्या हो जाएगा. So I therefore decide कि ये हमारा काम है. और ये काम जो है, हम अलग पूरी तरह से नहीं कर सकते, आपकी सहायता चाहिए, क्योंकि आपको ज़्यादा ज्ञान है। हम पूर्व पक्ष कर सकते हैं, आपको उत्तर देना है। आई विल टेल यू व्हाट इज दिस मैन सेइंग, बिकॉज आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड क्या बोल रहा है। आपको यू मे नॉट बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड गहराई से कि क्या बोला है, बट आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड गहराई से वो क्या बोल रहा है। ऊपर ऊपर से क्या लग रहा है, पर गहराई से क्या बोल रहा है। और इस पुस्तक में मैंने यही समझाया है। हम जो बहुत कॉम्प्लिकेटेड राइटिंग्स हैं इंडोलॉजी की, उनको हमने सरल तरीके से समझाया है कि ये बोल रहे हैं। अब उसका जवाब आपको देना है, उत्तर यू हैव टू गिव। आई गिव लिटिल बिट ऑफ उत्तर, आई गिव सम सिंपल उत्तर। उस उत्तर को यू कैन टेक इट डीपर। सो दिस इज व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू डू, ओपन द डोर फॉर अस टू डू पूर्व पक्ष ऑफ इंडोलॉजी। इंडोलॉजी वर्ड भी बाहर का वर्ड है, उसकी हिस्ट्री भी बाहर से है। सो मैं इसमें बताता हूं कि हाउ सर विलियम जोन्स इन 1790s becomes the first sort of western big figure in इंडोलॉजी, और ब्रिटिश ज़माने में कैसी इंडोलॉजी चली। ओरिजिनल मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट्स संस्कृत के, ओरिजिनल ओल्डेस्ट मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट्स ज़्यादातर बाहर ही पड़े हैं अभी तक। वी हैव नॉट ब्रॉट देम बैक। और जो उनकी इंटरप्रिटेशन उन्होंने की, किसी ने चैलेंज नहीं किया। किसी ने मैक्स मिलर की जो 50 वॉल्यूम या जितने भी वॉल्यूम हैं, अभी तक 150 साल हो गया है, nobody has written a challenge to them very systematically. No, थोड़ा बहुत यहाँ वहाँ ठीक है, but it is a very serious matter. और अब now they are going even more. अब Narayan Murthy, your friend and neighbor in Bangalore, has funded Western people to do 500 volume translations of our old texts into English. Control of editorial is in the hands of the foreigners. Control of editorial मतलब उस वर्ड का क्या मीनिंग होगा, उस वर्ड की कैसी इंटरप्रिटेशन होगी। आर्यन थ्योरी में वो बिलीव करते हैं, दिस काइंड ऑफ थिंग। सो जो एडिटर्स हैं उनका तो हाथ, उनका जो इन्फ्लुएंस है, उनका जो सिग्नेचर है, वो तो सारे कंटेंट में आएगा। जो एडिटर्स हैं वो डिसाइड करते हैं कौन सी पुस्तक ट्रांसलेट होगी और कौन ट्रांसलेटर होगा और किस ढंग से वो ट्रांसलेट करेगा। ये जो स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं ये तो उनके हाथ में है। सो हम लोग वी आर बिकमिंग कंज्यूमर्स ऑफ नॉलेज, नॉट प्रोड्यूसर्स। हमको तो अपनी संस्कृति में वी आर द प्रोड्यूसर्स। पहले ज़माने में हम प्रोड्यूसर्स थे। ये नालंदा यूनिवर्सिटी, तक्षशिला यूनिवर्सिटी जितनी भी थी, वहाँ पर सारे दुनिया के लोग आते थे, हमारे से सीखते थे। हम नॉलेज को प्रोड्यूस करके उनको देते थे, उनको बांटते थे। अब वो हमारी संस्कृति के बारे में दे प्रोड्यूस द नॉलेज एंड टीच अस। ये बहुत उल्टी बात है। सो दिस इज व्हाट बॉदर्स मी। सो दिस इज व्हाई आई एम राइटिंग दिस बुक एंड आई नीड हेल्प, बिकॉज जब ये पुस्तक निकलेगी, अभी you can buy a copy unofficially, well you can buy a copy, I'll sign it, it is fine, but आज शाम को Indian Institute of Science, Mohandas Pai and Rodham Narasimha will launch it 5:30, so you can come in the Satish Dhawan auditorium. That is the official launch. You can come 5:30, it will be wonderful. That is the official launch. So जब ये book फैलेगी और उनको पता चलेगा कि बहुत पॉपुलर हो रही है, बहुत लोग रीड कर रहे हैं, हमारे को कितने ट्रेडिशनल स्कॉलर्स ने एंडोर्स किया है, कितने सारों ने किया है, अभी और भी कर रहे हैं, तो फिर वो लड़ाई करेंगे, दे अटैक मी। एंड ऑल्सो लॉट ऑफ इंडियंस हु आर ऑन देयर साइड, बहुत सारे इंडियंस ऐसे हैं, और कुछ बहुत लायक इंडियन ट्रेडिशनल स्कॉलर्स वो भी बिक गए हैं, वो भी बिक गए हैं। ये हमको चमू जी ने भी बताया है, हमको भी पता है, कल्लन जी ने भी बताया है, कई हमको ऐसे लोगों के बारे में पता है जो बिक गए हैं, क्योंकि उनको ग्रांट मिलता है, उनको अमेरिका ले आया जाता है, उनको ऐसे ठीक रखा जाता है। दे आर हैप्पी विद दिस सिस्टम। एंड मेरे को लड़ने के लिए वेस्टर्नर्स तो लड़ेंगे, बट दे विल ऑल्सो गेट लॉट ऑफ इंडियंस टू फाइट, लेफ्ट विंग, मार्क्सिस्ट, those kind of people, they will have fight. So one of the things I had to decide is कि ये जो आजकल एंटी वैदिक हैं, संस्कृत को रिसर्च करते हैं, एंटी वैदिक, हाउ टू represent them, how to understand them, कौन है ये लोग? And then I decided that they are charvaks. They are charvaks. So these are charvaks 2.0. charvaks 2.0. तो जो पहले चार्वक्स थे वो भी एंटी वैदिक थे, अब जो 2.0 हैं वो भी एंटी वैदिक हैं, वो तो ठीक बात है। लेकिन जो पहले चार्वक थे, they were Indians. They were not connected with Western or some funding source. They were not working for another country. आजकल के जो 2.0 चार्वक्स हैं, they are supported from outside. एक तो ये फर्क हो गया. So they are more dangerous. दूसरी बात ये है कि जो चार्वक 2.0 है, he has got more money. उनकी फंडिंग बहुत है. Political clout. मीडिया उनको सपोर्ट करता है. तो sophisticated भी बहुत है. They come from good families, highly westernized. तो उनको they have more power, more elite status. जो पहले चार्वक 1.0 थे वो इतने नहीं, they did not have so much strength. और ये जो चार्वक 2.0 हैं, they are highly trained in new सिद्धांता. पहले जो सिद्धांत था 1.0 वो तो हमने डिबेट करके, पूर्व पक्ष करके, उत्तर पक्ष करके वो वी वन, हमारे स्कॉलर्स जीत गए। लेकिन जो आज के ज़माने में चार्वक 2.0 है, उनके पास सेक्युलरिज्म के आइडियाज़ हैं, मार्क्सिज्म, लेफ्टिस्ट आइडियाज़ हैं, फेमिनिस्ट आइडियाज़ हैं, पोस्ट मॉडर्निज्म एक बहुत फैशनेबल चीज़ है, वो सिद्धांत है। उनके पास कई तरह के नए नए सिद्धांत हैं जो पहले 1.0 वालों के पास नहीं थे। तो इसलिए जो 2.0 वाले हैं दे वेरी स्ट्रांग, और उनसे आप लड़ेंगे तो वो कहते हैं कि जो मॉडर्न साइंस है, नॉट ओल्ड साइंस, पिछले 300-400 साल में जो साइंस है, ये ज़्यादातर वेस्टर्न कंट्रीज़ ने निकाली है। अब ये माइक्रोफोन हो गया, मोबाइल फ़ोन हो गया, कंप्यूटर हो गया, इंटरनेट हो गया, एयरप्लेन हो गया, ये सब चीज़ें, नई चीज़ें जो निकली हैं पिछले 1.5-2 सालों में, ये सब वेस्ट की निकली हैं। तो वो ये चार्वक 2.0 का बहुत बड़ा वेपन है कि देखो इसमें कोई धर्म की बात नहीं है, इसमें कोई स्पिरिचुअलिटी की बात नहीं है, कोई वेद की बात नहीं है, कोई परमार्थिका की बात नहीं है, ये तो सिर्फ एथियस्ट साइंस है। ये कितना फ़ायदा हो गया। तो इन बातों के कारण जो 2.0 चार्वक हैं आजकल के, वो बहुत सॉलिड तरीके से हमारे से लड़ रहे हैं। तो इसलिए हमको पहचानना है कि जो पूर्व पक्षिण है, जिसके बारे में हम इस पुस्तक में विचार कर रहे हैं, वो चार्वक 2.0 है, और वो चार्वक 1.0 से काफ़ी आगे एडवांस्ड है। और इसका मतलब जो जैसे हमने चार्वक 1.0 के साथ डिबेट किया, सक्सेसफुल हुई उस ज़माने में, तो नाउ पीपल लाइक यू एंड संस्कृत स्कॉलर्स हैव टू लर्न टू डिबेट द चार्वक 2.0. दैट इज़ द चैलेंज. That is the battle for Sanskrit. Battle for Sanskrit is how Vedic scholars who are rooted in Sanskriti, have to debate the new Charvaks who are quite strong today. तो उनको पहले समझना है। पहले तो उत्तर पक्ष देने से पहले पूर्व पक्ष करना है। पूर्व पक्ष करने के लिए उनकी भाषा चाहिए, उनका क्या सिद्धांत है वो सीखना है। वो कोई मामूली बात नहीं है, वो बहुत गहराई की बातें हैं। वो दैट इज़ व्हाट आई डू. सो आई वांट टू एक्सप्लेन टू यू व्हाट आई डू इज़ नॉट सेम थिंग एज व्हाट यू डू. जो आप कर रहे हैं इज़ वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. वहीं से तो जवाब आएगा, वहीं से तो उत्तर आएगा। लेकिन जो हम कर रहे हैं उसके बिना हमारे जो संस्कृत स्कॉलर्स हैं उनको समझ ही नहीं आएगा कि ये लोग क्या कह रहे हैं. सो हमारा ये काम और जो आपका काम है, ये दोनों मिलकर करना है. आई हैव टू इंटरप्रेट व्हाट दे आर डूइंग एंड यू हैव टू हेल्प गिव रिस्पॉन्स. वी हैव टू डू दिस टुगेदर. सो I have, in the conclusion of this book, made a list of what are the important debates we must have with the new Charvaks. I have 18 debates listed. वो इस पुस्तक में काफ़ी डिटेल में उनका एनालिसिस किया है कि उनका ख्याल ये है, दिस इज़ देयर आइडिया ऑफ रामायण, इसमें ये डिस्टॉर्शंस है, कैसे जवाब देना है, लाइक दैट. इस तरह से हमने 18 टॉपिक्स निकाले हैं. एंड व्हाट आई वांट इज टू फाइंड पीपल who want to join this project, कि उनको कैसे जवाब देना है, क्योंकि हम अकेला नहीं कर सकते. So I will tell you what are the 18 topics of debate. अब इनको हमने 4 कैटेगरीज में बनाया. First category is we must contest intellectual recolonization of India. इंटेलेक्चुअली हम दोबारा कॉलोनाइज हो रहे हैं. पहले अंग्रेजों ने कॉलोनाइज किया, अब अमेरिकन कॉलोनाइज कर रहे हैं. कॉलोनाइज पॉलिटिकल नहीं कर रहे, फाइनेंशियल नहीं कर रहे, आइडियोलॉजिकल इंटेलेक्चुअल कर रहे हैं. उसमें सारे वेस्टर्नाइज लोग, अंग्रेजियत के लोग, मीडिया के लोग सब उसी तरफ भाग रहे हैं. ये एक तरह की कॉलोनाइजेशन है. अब इसमें कई टॉपिक्स हैं. फर्स्ट, हु विल हैव द अधिकार फॉर संस्कृत स्टडीज. ये हमने पुस्तक लिखी in 1.5 years, this whole book. I haven't slept much, 7 days a week. I'm studying all the time, reading, studying, writing, arguing to go do this book. इतनी हमें जल्दी है. क्यों जल्दी है? जल्दी इसलिए है कि श्रृंगेरी मठ was about to appoint American Ivy League University to take over the representation of Adi Shankara, the teaching of Adi Shankara in the international area. उनको अपना ambassador बना रहे थे कि आप, it's like you appoint Musharraf to become your ambassador to the United Nations. हाँ, ठीक है. You can say भी बहुत अच्छी बात है, वो हमको he will do our job, हाँ, और वो सैलरी भी नहीं लेगा सर, बहुत, हाँ, लाइक दैट. इट इज़ फुलिश आइडिया. सो हमको बहुत रिच NRIs ने कहा कि दे हैव रेज्ड $4-5 million. पहली चेयर कोलंबिया में होगी, फिर थोड़ी देर के बाद एक और चेयर होती जाएगी, और जब 4 पीठम बना दिए होंगे आईवी लीग्स में, तो फिर वो रामानुजा के बारे में करेंगे, फिर माधवा का भी करेंगे. सारे पीठम्स का जितने भी हमारे परंपराएं हैं, दे विल स्टार्ट गिविंग दोज franchise to the Americans. I was so concerned, so angry. I felt कि चाहे whatever price I have to pay, I must try to stop it. अब हमारे पास stop करने का अधिकार तो है नहीं, because it's up to Shankaracharya to decide. But at least I can spread awareness. So I started writing about this to my blogs and my 140 character वाले tweet. और उससे काफ़ी people got very angry and concerned कि how can sacred tradition of Adi Shankara, Shringeri Math wo bhi, how can we hand it over to people like that? तो मैंने जाके जो NRIs थे, फाइनेंशियल, बहुत पैसे वाले, धन वाले, I asked them, have you done evaluation of these people, जिनको आप चेयर का कंट्रोल दे रहे हैं, have you evaluated them? तो उन्होंने कहा नहीं, evaluate नहीं किया, evaluate करने की जरूरत नहीं, बहुत अच्छे लोग हैं. And they were completely fooled by these people, because बातचीत करने में तो बहुत उनमें, they are very diplomatic, very polite. साम दान ऊपर से, भेद दंड पीछे. This is the strategy. ऐसे. So I went to meet Shankaracharya in I think it was January 2015, 1 year ago. And I told him my whole research, my findings. He was very concerned. उनको पूरी तरह से ब्रीफ नहीं किया गया था. बाकी लोग जो हैं उनके अराउंड, उन्होंने कहा कि इनको हमने ब्रीफ कर दिया, इनकी ब्लेसिंग मिल गई है, और उस नाते वो नेगोशिएट कर रहे थे. Why they were doing it, I don't know. उनको क्या मिलेगा, I don't know, but something very mysterious. So they told me, these people in US, कि within 4 weeks we are announcing. You can do nothing. It's already been blessed by Shankaracharya. दिस इज अ डन डील, ये उन्होंने लिखा मेरे को, इट्स अ डन डील, इन 4 वीक्स वे साइनिंग अनाउंस करेंगे। आई वॉज वेरी वेरी कंसर्न कि हमको कुछ जल्दी करना है। एंड शंकराचार्य did not say I will stop it, he did not say I will do it, he just said I am very interested in listening to you. तो मैंने एक रिक्वेस्ट उनको की कि प्लीज वेट अंटिल माई बुक कम्स आउट। अब ये बुक निकलेगी, what will happen I don't know, but so far they have not done it, वो डिले कर दिया उन्होंने, and I am hoping this book has the effect. If I can stop that from happening, it will be the biggest thing in my whole life to do because of this. Because you know, suppose ये battle हम हार गए, तो it will become a trend, it will become a fashion. Within 10 years, all the major centers of learning will be gone. अब देखिए, हमारा argument शंकराचार्य जी से, argument नहीं, हमारा जो आइडिया था, माई रिक्वेस्ट वॉज कि जो भी अपॉइंट करें, आरडी चेयर का नाम है आरडी शंकरा, चेयर ऑफ हिंदू रिलीजन एंड फिलॉसफी, शंकरा, होल नेम ऑफ द शारदा पीठम, सारा ऑफिशियल, वेरी ऑफिशियल। सो आई सेड कि इतनी ऑफिशियल अपॉइंटमेंट जो दे रहे हैं आपकी ब्लेसिंग्स के साथ, you have to write in the contract, the persons appointed must comply with all the traditional requirements of a teacher, including his lifestyle, all the training he should have. It cannot be कि वो उन्होंने स्कूल क्लास में थोड़ा सेमिनार दिया and then he goes and eats some hamburgers and drinks in a wine in a bar with his students. He cannot make fun of the tradition. He cannot be somebody who's trivializing the tradition. He has to live that, because that is what he's projecting. Hamari tradition is, you cannot separate, you cannot disembody from your own person. You have to have the adhyatmic quality in you to have that adhikar. जिस तरह से आप श्रृंगेरी मठ में जो टीचर सिलेक्ट करते हैं, अपनी यूनिवर्सिटीज में टीचर सिलेक्ट करते हैं, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ लाइफस्टाइल, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ अपब्रिंगिंग दे हैव टू हैव, सेम मस्ट बी द स्टैंडर्ड व्हेन यू पुट देम आउटसाइड, अदरवाइज इट विल बी एन इंसल्ट टू आवर यूनिवर्सिटी। तो शंकराचार्य जी, ही सेड, हाँ, आई मीन दिस वाज, वो जो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट लिखा हुआ था उनमें ये चीज़ें थी नहीं, उनमें ये था कि हम उनको पैसा दे देंगे कि ये चेयर शुरू करो, और वो अपनी तरफ से सिलेक्ट कर लेंगे जिसको भी सिलेक्ट करना है। So it would be very dangerous thing for us. So this will be the, if I can win this battle, this will be the second battle won. Second battle. First battle is कि ये पुस्तक is coming out, has come out. They tried to stop it, but we have brought it out, and therefore we have won the first battle already. There was a lot of petition by these people on the other side कि हमारी बुक्स बैन हो जाएं, पब्लिशर्स शुड नॉट कैरी माई बुक्स। लास्ट समर में एक बहाने के बाद दूसरा, उनके 250 सिग्नेचर थे, बट इम्पोर्टेंट स्कॉलर्स। तो हमने काउंटर पिटिशन किसी ने निकाली, एंड वी हैड 11,000 सिग्नेचर्स, सो वी हैड 40 टाइम्स सिग्नेचर। फिर उन्होंने मीडिया में लगाना शुरू कर दिया। मीडिया में हमारे को लोग जानते वानते नहीं है, मीडिया इज सोल्ड टू द लेफ्ट, उसमें हम रिस्पॉन्ड नहीं कर सके। लेकिन आपने हमें हमारी सहायता की, सोशल मीडिया में हमने उनको काफ़ी जवाब दिया, सो वो फिर भाग गए। सो दे वर नॉट एबल टू स्टॉप द बुक। बुक इज आउट, वी वन द फर्स्ट बैटल। इफ श्रृंगेरी मठ डिसाइड्स कि देखो ये जो चेयरवेयर है इसको छोड़ दो, वी विल ऑल्सो हैव वन द सेकेंड बैटल। सो अब ये जो इनसाइडर्स और आउटसाइडर्स की बात हो रही है, आउटसाइडर्स ने हमारे क्षेत्र का कब्जा किया हुआ है, अब हमको उनको थ्रो आउट करना है। उसको हम कहते हैं स्वदेशी इंडोलॉजी। इन दिस आई एम सेइंग दैट वी हैव टू रिप्लेस विदेशी इंडोलॉजी विद स्वदेशी इंडोलॉजी। दिस इज द आइडिया। सो अनदर पॉइंट आई एम गिविंग इज कि जो वेस्टर्न सिद्धांत है, वेस्टर्न कैटेगरीज जैसे संस्कृत में कई कैटेगरीज हैं जिनको ट्रांसलेट ही नहीं कर सकते बिकॉज दे आर ओनली इन संस्कृत, इंग्लिश में ऐसी कैटेगरी नहीं है, तो उनको अलग करके उन्होंने अपनी कैटेगरीज लगा दी हैं, उन कैटेगरीज में ही सारा डिस्कशन होता है. दिस इज रॉन्ग, वी आर गिविंग अप आवर अधिकार बाय डूइंग दैट. एंड देन आई एम सेइंग दैट देयर इज फर्स्ट stage of Orientalism. Orientalism is the study of outsiders studying the Asia, different Oriental societies. उसको Orientalism कहते हैं. पहली Orientalism यूरोप ने की थी हमारे पर, अब अमेरिका कर रही है. So it was European Orientalism was 1.0 Orientalism. Now it is American Orientalism, which is 2.0. उसमें अंतर ये है कि जो यूरोपियन ओरिएंटलिज्म थी उसमें ज़्यादातर गोरे स्कॉलर करते थे, जैसे कोई मैक्स मिलर हुआ, सर विलियम जोन्स हुआ, मॉनियर विलियम्स हुआ, ये सब ऐसे उनके ही लोग थे. लेकिन आजकल जो अमेरिकन ओरिएंटलिज्म हो रही है उसमें ज़्यादातर इंडियंस को ही ट्रेन किया जा रहा है. सो सारे इंडियन लेफ्ट इज ट्रेन लाइक दैट. बी, दैट इज ए कैटेगरी की अधिकार की बात है. कैटेगरी बी में जो डिबेट्स हैं विच आई वांट हैव टू डू विद रिलेशनशिप ऑफ बुद्धिज्म एंड वैदिक ट्रेडिशंस. बुद्धिज्म एंड वैदिक ट्रेडिशंस, ये इनके लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि बुद्धिज्म और वैदिक ट्रेडिशन को अलग करके उनमें आपस में मैक्सिमम कॉन्फ्लिक्ट किया जाए, मैक्सिमम कॉन्फ्लिक्ट. और उनमें जो कॉमनैलिटीज़ हैं वो नहीं कभी आती, सिर्फ मैक्सिमम कॉन्फ्लिक्ट आता है कि बुद्धिज्म वॉज वेरी डेमोक्रेटिक, वेरी गुड फॉर सोसाइटी, दीज ब्राह्मण्स फ्रॉम द वैदिक ट्रेडिशन वेरी अब्यूसिव एंड सो ऑन. सो उन्होंने क्रोनोलॉजी चेंज कर दिया है. क्रोनोलॉजी जो इम्पोर्टेंट टेक्स्ट हैं, ग्रामर की टेक्स्ट हैं, पाणिनि है, जो वाल्मीकि है, ये सबको आफ्टर बुद्धा और बुद्धिस्ट इन्फ्लुएंस के कारण उन्होंने ये दिखाया कि सब कुछ बुद्धिस्ट इन्फ्लुएंस को एज ए रिएक्शन टू बुद्धिस्ट इन्फ्लुएंस द वैदिक ब्राह्मण्स वर राइटिंग, अदरवाइज दे वर नॉट केपेबल ऑफ राइटिंग. एंड ऑल्सो द origin of writing is attributed to Buddhism. Otherwise, Indians did not know how to write. मतलब उन्होंने सारी इंडस वैली जो भी स्क्रिप्ट्स हैं वो तो भूल गए. They did not, don't even acknowledge that. So that is the B category, the relationship of Buddhism and Vedic. C category is their depiction of Sanskrit and Sanskriti. Sanskrit and Sanskriti is very biased. अब most of this book is on that, कि उनको संस्कृत और संस्कृति के बारे में क्या क्या लिखा है जिसके बारे में I feel this insider will never accept. Insider must not accept. First, this will be particularly interesting to Sanskrit Bharati people. First, they reject the oral tradition. They reject the oral tradition. Revival of the oral tradition they think is bad idea. उसमें कोई फायदा नहीं है. They say कि जब तक oral tradition था, there was no creativity possible. It lacked imagination. It was otherworldly, mystical, और practical बात नहीं होती थी. And it was elitist Brahmins only. शूद्रास को allowed नहीं था, women को allowed नहीं था. This is their vichar, which is not true. In fact, Chammu Krishna Shastri, I quote in this book, I have many pages I'm quoting and summarizing Chammu Krishna Shastri in this book because I worked together with him. He has done so much research which I quoted in this book. So, ये जो oral tradition के against है, ये क्यों है? इसलिए है कि by saying कि oral tradition doesn't count, we cannot rely, कोई reliable evidence नहीं है oral tradition का. By doing that, they can quickly eliminate large part of our history, because oral history को eliminate कर दिया तो कितना कुछ निकाल दिया उन्होंने. So they're very determined on that, and they also make fun of Sanskrit Bharati and oral tradition, revival of oral tradition. They are making fun. So history of Indian languages is a topic where we have to contest. उनके मुताबिक Sanskrit was very aggressive, dominating local Indian languages. It was brought by foreign Aryans, and this was a kind of way to keep control of the local. और उनके मुताबिक जो संस्कृत को स्प्रेड किया थ्रूआउट एशिया, थ्रूआउट साउथ एशिया वगैरह, वो स्प्रेड करने का तरीका ये था कि जो संस्कृत है उसमें खूबियां हैं कि they allow it, Sanskrit allows kavya which makes the king very powerful and very superior, very sophisticated. He can be looked as almost God, and this is a quality only Sanskrit has. So Brahmins told the king, I will make you look good. You sponsor me, I'll make you look good. So these people constantly quote prashastis, keep saying ye prashasti, ye raja ke liye ye prashasti ki, ye prashasti ki. In fact, they are saying कि पहले तो संस्कृत का काम ही ये था to write prashasti. The only thing being done was prashasti to flatter the king, and the king will look after the Brahmin. Brahmin is giving him prashasti, and both of them are elite fooling the public. Public को ऐसे fool करने के लिए this kind of a conspiracy between the king and the Brahmin is going on. So उनके विचार के मुताबिक the kavya to popularize the Sanskrit texts, because Vedic was only reserved for few people. Yagna, Vedas, mantra, people could not participate, they were not allowed, it was illegal. So kavya, which was popular, was done in a way that would be politically useful for the king. Discourse in the kavya was always to make the king powerful. So this way it was a brainwashing method, you might say, it was a brainwashing method. So the theory is that Sanskrit did not spread with military violence like Latin and those languages spread in a physical violence. Sanskrit did not spread with physical violence. Sanskrit spread as a franchise. मतलब उनको franchise कर दिया कि एक और king को जाके बोल दिया कि you sponsor the Brahmin will come and do yagna to make you look God, and he will bring Ramayana and all these things that people will say, wah, kya baat hai, how nice. And they will be so mystified, they will be so mesmerized that the king's power will grow like that. So Sanskrit in their idea is a beautiful language, but it is a language with political motives, political agenda that can be utilized. This is very deep in their thinking and in their writing. So at the same time they are praising Sanskrit, but praising it as a particular kind of language, not praising it for its sacredness, because they don't like that sacredness. They like it as a very powerful, effective language of political discourse. Then they have this theory. You see, Marxists जो हैं, they believe that when people are poor, they will overthrow the ruling elite. There will be a revolution. And Lenin applied the Marxist theory and created a revolution in Russia successfully. So when the Germans had a depression, the Marxists expected that there will be communist revolution in Germany. Instead, Nazism came up. So the Marxists were wondering कि ये क्या हो गया? हमारी theory क्यों नहीं काम की? According to our theory, communism should have come. According to the Marxists, when there was depression in Germany, communist revolution should have come. Nazis कैसे आ गए? तो उन्होंने ये प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व करने के लिए एक नई तरीके की मार्क्सिज्म निकाली. इसको कहते हैं फ्रैंकफर्ट स्कूल, बिकॉज इट केम आउट ऑफ फ्रैंकफर्ट. फ्रैंकफर्ट स्कूल ऑफ मार्क्सिज्म इज लाइक मार्क्सिज्म 2.0, थोड़ी सोफिस्टिकेटेड है. उसके मुताबिक व्हाट हैपेंड इज people were unhappy economically, but the Nazis gave them national pride through kavya, through poetry, through parades, speeches, good, big all kind of fancy, powerful display symbols. So make the people feel patriotic and proud using this kind of discourse. And उससे इतने नशे में आ गए लोग कि वो revolution ही कर पाए. मतलब लोगों को जैसे भंगड़ा करते हैं ऐसे, या क्रिकेट खिलाते हैं आजकल के ज़माने में, इस तरह से जर्मन नाज़ीज़ ने उनको ऐसे नाटक दिखाए, ऐसे आर्ट, म्यूज़िक, डांस, स्पीचेस, थिएटर, राइटिंग्स, ऐसी नेशनल प्राइड उनमें डाली. कि वो अपनी जो हंगर है, पॉवर्टी है, वो भूल गए। उसको क्या, ये जो थियोरी है, इसका नाम है एस्थेटिसाइजेशन ऑफ पावर। एस्थेटिक्स मीन्स ब्यूटी, ब्यूटी के बारे में, आर्ट, एस्थेटिक्स, सौंदर्य। सो एस्थेटिसाइजेशन ऑफ पावर मीन्स कि जो पावर है वो उसके ऊपर बहुत एस्थेटिक तरीके से आप चलाएं तो लोग मान लेंगे। मतलब भेद दंड के ऊपर साम दान लगाकर चलाएं। सो देन दे यूज दिस, इंडोलॉजिस्ट टुक दिस थियोरी and came up in the last 30 years, 20 years, कि Sanskrit also spread the same way as Nazis spread. That Sanskrit was the language of Kavya to fool the people so that they don't revolt. King can be oppressive, king can be doing all kind of bad things, king can have too much power, dictator, all that. But the Sanskrit Kavya make everybody feel very happy. काव्य हो गया, डांस हो गया, रामायण होगी, सब लोग खुश हो गए, सब नशे में हैं, नेशनल प्राइड है कि क्या बात है हमारा, क्या व्हाट अ ग्रेट देश वी हैव, या देखो किंग है, हाथी पर आ गया, वैसे। सो ऐसे ड्रामा करने के लिए, थिएटर करने के लिए इतिहास काम आया और ये पुराना काम आया, और पब्लिक डिस्प्लेज हुए, यज्ञ हुए, यज्ञ में क्या क्या बातें हुई कि अब हम वी आर लाइक गॉड, ये वो। तो ये conspiracy of Brahmins and kings is the reason why Sanskrit was spread. The spread of Sanskrit is because it was a good language to promote power. That is the theory. No traditional scholar till this book has come out, before this book has come out, has understood this theory and written any critique about it. Because this theory is written in such detailed, complicated language, 300 or 400 pages of detailed analysis to develop this theory that Sanskrit spread because of the aestheticization of power in the same way as the Nazis spread. ये बहुत बड़ी बात है, which I've explained in this book. A very big thing. I want you to read it, understand it, and discuss it, debate it, argue about all this. Because if Sanskrit spread in that way, then it is like a kind of a cultural weapon जिसको misuse किया जो elite लोग हैं. That is what it amounts to. So I have a big argument on that. Then there is lot of writing that Sanskrit and Sanskriti are inherently abusive, socially abusive, oppressive lower लोगों के लिए. It is for elite to oppress other people. इस पर उन्होंने कई पुस्तकें लिखी हैं, कई पेपर्स लिखे हैं, वो हम एनालाइज करके आपके सामने एक्सप्लेन कर रहे हैं इस पुस्तक में, एंड आई एम गिविंग माई आर्ग्यूमेंट्स बैक. देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ चैप्टर्स ऑन दैट. एंड देन एलिगेशन इज मेड दैट संस्कृत डाइड. संस्कृत इज डेड. Sanskrit is dead. It died 1000 years ago, according to them, because it was killed by Hindu kings. The Muslims tried to save it, but the Hindus would not cooperate. ये भी नहीं. I give you evidence where they are saying this. Because संस्कृत के अंदर built in जो structures हैं वो anti social हैं, तो गिरना तो था ही उसको कभी ना. It could not have gone on. Because of the built-in biases, prejudice, it is against democracy, against freedom, तो वो जो होता है वो कभी ना कभी तो गिरेगा. और कुछ जो राजा थे, according to them, वो करप्ट थे. वो आई एम श्योर कई राजा करप्ट होंगे. आई डोंट से कि सब राजा ठीक ही थे, बट आई डोंट बिलीव कि दो चार जो उन्होंने एग्जाम्पल दिए हैं राजा करप्ट थे उसके कारण सारी संस्कृत डेड हो जाएगी. आई डोंट थिंक सो. एंड इन देयर डेथ ऑफ संस्कृत एनालिसिस there is not a single sentence blaming Islamic rule. In fact, very clearly it says, any blame on Islamic rule must be eliminated as false. उसके ये एक सेंटेंस देकर उनका काम खत्म हो गया. उन्होंने डेटा भी नहीं एग्जामिन किया, एनालाइज भी नहीं किया, उसको चांस भी नहीं दिया. Then British are not blamed for the death of Sanskrit. Nehruvianism is not blamed. So the blame goes back to the origin of Sanskrit and its roots and its structure. उन्हीं इसी के कारण उसकी डेथ हो गई. I also argue कि Sanskrit lives through Sanskriti. Sanskrit lives through architecture, through dance, through the meditation, through mantra, through yajna, through pujas. Sanskrit lives through the practices based on Sanskrit. So whether I know how to order a cup of tea, point is every day I meditate with mantra. Hamare andar Pashyanti is the Pashyanti level of Vak. I have this mantra in me. That is my Sanskrit. And I feel connected when I hear Sanskrit. And my designs, my way of my world view, the idea of being aligned with rhythm, cosmic rhythm as my dharma, is Sanskrit. It is the difference between Sanskrit and Sanskriti is just in what way you are looking at it. So you look at it as language, it is Sanskrit. You look at it as a way of life, it is Sanskriti. Sanskrit and Sanskriti are inseparable. So you can't say Sanskrit is dead if Sanskriti is alive. This is a very important point. So this way. So then another topic they have is that Ramayana के बदनामी तो बहुत किया उन्होंने. Lot of Ram bashing. It starts with these people 30-40 years ago. 1984 में उन्होंने एक पेपर लिखा बहुत बड़ा, काफ़ी अब्यूज़ किया कि राम as divine and Ravan as demonic was a kind of insult or what is unfair, injustice, violence. Against, and it also used against Shudras and biased against women, yevo. But the most dangerous statement that these Indologists have written is that Ramayana became popular 1,000 years ago because the Muslims invaded and the Hindu kings needed a narrative to unite the public against them. So public को unite करने के लिए कि आप उनको लड़ो, they came up with the popularity of Ramayana and projected Rakshas idea on Muslims. So depicting Muslims as the Rakshas, as the demonic other, was the primary purpose of Ramayana, and hence Ramayana became popular for political purposes. मतलब जो भक्ति करता है, जो राम कथा करता है, उसको तो भूल ही दिया, जो पूजा करता है उसको तो भूल ही दिया कि ये इसका पर्पस ही पॉलिटिकल है. इसको पॉपुलराइज किया जा रहा है, स्पॉन्सर किया जा रहा है, क्योंकि राजा को पता है कि मेरे को जब विदेश से कोई आएगा उससे लड़ना है तो आई विल यूज रामायण एज द रीजन कि उनके साथ लड़ना चाहिए. सो दिस होल बिजनेस दैट रामायण इज लाइक ए वेपन ऑफ मास डिस्ट्रक्शन, काइंड ऑफ ऑलमोस्ट सेइंग लाइक दैट. या that's what it amounts to, although that's my description of what they are saying. They are not using that word, but what they are saying amounts to allegation like that. So these are some of the highlights of debatable points. I don't want to be rude, I don't want to insult them. I am saying these are debatable points. हमको chance मिलना चाहिए. हमारी भी home, I call it the home team of people who are scholars like you, who will represent the insider point of view, the traditional point of view. We need a chance to go and debate on these points. आजकल अभी तक तो किसी ने हमारी तरफ से डिबेट उनको किया ही नहीं. वो जयपुर लिटरेरी फेस्टिवल 7-8 years in a row उनको कितना फेलिसिटेट किया जाता है. गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया गिविंग देम पद्म श्री, पद्म भूषण, मीडिया ऑल रनिंग अराउंड आफ्टर देम, नारायण मूर्ति राइटिंग चेक्स वर्थ millions of dollars. तो हमारे लोग तो उनके पीछे ऐसे जा रहे हैं like they are like the देवतास. So I have also written कि ये जो आपने कहा aestheticization of power, कि संस्कृत के कारण इतने sophisticated poetic तरीके से ये लोगों को बेवकूफ़ बनाया गया. जो elite थे, Brahmins were writing these compositions to make the sponsoring Raja look good, and the Raja was funding the Brahmin. I have said that today these Indologists can be seen in the same way. I see in English they are writing prashastis of their sponsors. And I quote the main Indologist of this group, Sheldon Pollock, writing a beautiful prashasti to Rohan Murthy and the Murthy family. I've said this is the anglicized English equivalent of the Brahmin, writing for the equivalent of the Raja, the Prashasti, because the Raja is sponsoring him. And he is going to this Jaipur Literary Festival and doing all this drama, theatre, to make people feel very happy about their culture. कि आपकी तो संस्कृत बहुत अच्छी है, it is the greatest language, कितनी beautiful poetry है, वो साम दान से, ड्रामा से सबको लोगों को making them very happy, but deep inside जो उन्होंने negative चीज़ें कही हैं वो किसी को पता ही नहीं है. So this is a way to fool us. So I've written that this aestheticization of power theory is so good, it can also be applied to interpret them. So that's why I told Professor Pollock when we had coffee in New York, we met a few times and we friendly talk we have. So I said, my book will make you very famous. Because your theory is so good, I can even apply it to you. So you see, we should never be rude or get angry, because intellectually we are on such solid ground. We have to teach this to our people, what to say, what to look for, how to read, how to answer. And rather than losing our temper, becoming emotional, we have to just be very calm and relaxed and keep giving them logical answers. And keep inviting them that we want just equal voice, equal time, neutral, level playing field, honest moderator, and we have to have discussions. मैंने तो उनको ये भी लिखा कि ये पुस्तक तैयार हो गई है, अब ये पब्लिशर के पास जा रही है. If you want to have a video dialogue with me, I'll bring a cameraman. Instead of writing a book, we'll have a conversation, very friendly. I will tell you that I have found these things in your book. You give me your view, I'll give my view, you give me your view. We will discuss it on a camera. And we'll have 8, 9, 10 such series of discussions. We'll put it on YouTube. I don't need to write a book. It's more important that we should be understanding each other. He did not accept it. He didn't say no. He said, I have to think. I'm very busy. I'll get back to you, like that. So I even took his offer that maybe one day he'll do it. And I gave it to my publisher कि आप उसको चिट्ठी लिख दीजिए. Invite him to have this neutral debate. He's not responded. So that's why I'm writing this book, basically to force a debate, not making any attacks on anybody. इस पुस्तक में मैंने उनकी खूब प्रशंसा की है. I have said he is a great scholar, he is very powerful, क्या क्या उन्होंने पुस्तकें निकाली हैं, क्या उनको awards मिले हैं. I'm not attacking, I'm very respectful. And then I'm saying that his positions, his intellectual positions and scholarship are flawed. उनमें गलती है. I'm not fighting with him as a person. It is just that what he's writing is biased. And I'm also saying कि जो उनका bias है वो उनकी गलती नहीं है. Because he comes from a certain vichar, he comes from a certain ideology. तो क्या करें? Now, most of these Indologists are trained as classicists. Means they learn Greek and Latin classical languages, how to analyze them. Then that methodology they use on Sanskrit. ये problem है. Greek and Latin are called classical languages, which means dead languages. Okay? Classical languages is languages जो हमारे पहले ancestors जो हैं उनकी language थी, हमारी नहीं है. वो उनके ज़माने की language थी. वो museum में पड़ी है. अब हम उसको with respect उसके बारे में पढ़ते हैं. उसमें बहुत खराबियाँ थी. It had to die. It was not viable for today. So that attitude towards Greek and Latin classical languages is being applied to Sanskrit. Whereas Chinese do not say Mandarin is a classical language. It's an old language, also a modern language. Similarly Japanese, similarly Persian, similarly Arabic. They are not classical languages. So my argument is we should use the methodology of other Asian old languages and not the dead languages of Europe, which Europeans consider to be classical. So ये methodology का problem है उनके बारे में. So even, and I'm very happy, Chammu Krishna Shastri told me he does not like calling Sanskrit a classical language. This is very big fight. We do not want to call it a classical language. It's a living language. It's an old language, but it is not classical. अब जो methodology use की जाती है इन चीज़ों में, उसको philology कहते हैं. Philology. philology means study of texts. जो टेक्स्ट है, टेक्स्ट कोई भी टेक्स्ट है, किसी की कल्चर, भाषा, किसी का भी टेक्स्ट है, वो टेक्स्ट को कैसे पढ़ा जाए, कैसे इंटरप्रेट किया जाए, वो जो मेथड है उसको फिलॉलजी कहते हैं। अब वेस्टर्न लोगों के पास उनके इंटरप्रिटेशन के तरीके हैं, और जो हमारे शास्त्र कैसे पढ़े जाने चाहिए, उसमें हमारे भी मेथडोलॉजी है। सो इंडियन फिलॉलजी भी है, वेस्टर्न फिलॉलजी भी है, कई तरह की फिलॉलजी है, बट he uses Western philology. He uses Western philology. So the method of studying is not as our tradition would see. So philology तो है जनरल, फिर उन्होंने एक नया टर्म यूज किया है, political philology. Political philology means you study a text looking for political motives. Looking for political motives. So उनका जो he is doing पूर्व पक्ष of Vedic culture and Sanskrit using political philology that was used to analyze Greek and Latin. इसका मतलब his whole drishti, the whole school of American Orientalism, their drishti is to look for political violence, political oppression, like that. So the moment you say that the methodology is political philology, which they're writing all the time, political philology, hundreds of times they keep saying that. It means that you're looking for something like that. So I'm introducing a new term, sacred philology, that we have to take back the interpretation where sacredness is there. It is not, it can't be removed from our text. If you remove sacredness from our text, you've committed violence. You cannot do that. It's distortion. So उनका method है political philology, हमारा जो method है I'm calling it sacred philology. And I'm saying ये भी debate होनी चाहिए कि which is better to, which is more authentic according to our tradition. तो उन्होंने फिर एक और term निकाली है liberation philology. उन्होंने कहा political philology से आप diagnose कर सकते हैं, पूर्व पक्ष करेंगे और यू डू डायग्नोस्टिक कि ये प्रॉब्लम है, लेकिन उसका इलाज क्या है? लिबरेशन फिलॉलजी इज यू इंटरवीन, ह्यूमन राइट्स इंटरवेंशंस, यू गो एंड लॉबी, यू स्टार्ट NGOs एंड यू फंड whom to fight. So political ये petitions against new government, it is all part of liberating India from our Sanskriti. मतलब to liberate us from our own heritage becomes the solution. Liberating us from our heritage because it is abusive, it is toxic, it has poisons in it. So political philology is the method of Purva Paksh about us. Liberation philology is Uttar Paksh, उसका जवाब किया, उसका इलाज क्या है. This is what is going on, which I am fighting. Final category D is how to reclaim our Sanskrit and Sanskriti. How do we go forward? What do we do? So, first of all, we should stop this business of taking all the good things in Sanskrit, all the Sanskrit texts, उनको निचोड़कर simple तरीके से English में डालकर English फैलाओ ताकि संस्कृत जरूरत नहीं. That is wrong. The Murthy Classics Library basically removes the importance of Sanskrit and gives more knowledge and content to English by taking 500 volumes. कोई मेडिसिन पर है, कोई इस पर है, मैथमेटिक्स है, साइंस है, काव्या है, जो भी है, all the best works, turn it into English, very simple, 100-200 page, छोटे, put it in schools, put it in colleges, subsidize the price, 100 rupee, flood the market, and in 10 years, people will not need to know Sanskrit. It's a very, very big attack on the future of Sanskrit and Sanskriti, to take the treasure and translate it and map it onto their framework and then flood it and tell people कि अब आपको संस्कृत की क्या जरूरत है, हमने तो पहले ही क्या दिया था कि वो dead है, अब तो वाकई dead हो गया है, that kind of a thing. So I'm against one-way flow of knowledge out of Sanskrit into English. I would like to see translate into Sanskrit the great works of thinkers all over the world. Put mathematics into Sanskrit, put philosophy into Sanskrit, do Purva Paksh of West in Sanskrit. So our Sanskrit teachers and Sanskrit scholars will know how to how to think what they are like and how to answer to them. So the translation into Sanskrit has to be enhanced. Then the scope of Sanskrit studies in the West has serious problem with it. वो Sanskrit studies को करते हैं to take out and expose human right violations कि ब्राह्मण ऐसे थे, look for वो रामायण में क्या किसको exploit किया है, वो महाभारत में क्या किया है, ये पुराण में feminist angle लगाकर क्या निकालोगे, like they're looking for these things. But all the scientific knowledge, knowledge of yoga, knowledge of medicine, knowledge of metallurgy, mathematics, astronomy, वो जो संस्कृत स्टडीज डिपार्टमेंट्स हैं इंडोलॉजी में, उनमें ये चीज़ नहीं बताते, बिकॉज वो साइट से निकाल के चोरी कर रही है. सो दे डोंट वांट टू इंक्लूड दैट एज पार्ट ऑफ संस्कृत स्टडीज बिकॉज दे नो इट विल मेक संस्कृत लुक वेरी स्ट्रांग, एंड दैट इज व्हाट दे वांट टू ट्रांसलेट क्विकली, मेक इट देयर ओन एंड नॉट क्रेडिट आवर सिविलाइजेशन. सो आई कॉल दैट डाइजेस्शन. उसको वो डाइजेस्ट कर रही है, हमारी नॉलेज को डाइजेस्ट कर रहे हैं, टर्न इट इनटू देयर ओन डीएनए, टर्न इट इनटू देयर ओन कॉपीराइट्स एंड पैटर्न्स एंड थिंग्स लाइक दैट. एंड दैट type of Sanskrit studies we must have, where the people are learning Sanskrit, but they're also learning the knowledge of Sanskrit which is useful today. So Sanskrit should be not only a separate department. In mathematics department they should study Sanskrit texts. In astronomy department they should study Sanskrit texts. In chemistry department they should study Sanskrit texts. In medicine they should study Ayurvedic texts, like that. So Sanskrit should also be part of many disciplines जिसमें texts हैं. And that is the way to do it, rather than basically limiting Sanskrit to only just language, secularize करके और abuses निकालने के लिए, and बाकी जो संस्कृत का खजाना real wealth है, treasure है, उसको वो चोरी कर रहे हैं. This is a very big thing going on, and nobody here has really taken it on head on and exposed it. So this is one of the things I've been working on for quite a while. Then the final point is we have to expose what I call Hindu phobia. There is big Hindu phobia. All kind of things blamed on Hinduism. Everything that happens, it is because of Manusmriti, yeah, because of this, that, some old text. So not that we don't have problems. We have problems. Every culture has problems. We also have problems. We must solve these problems. We must deal with these problems. But we have our own methods to debate and discuss and improve. We can write new smritis. We are supposed to write new smritis, update the old smritis. So we don't need to import somebody else's methods, and we don't need a danda and to accuse us and make us do this. So these are 18 debates that I want, and I need your help, because जब ये पुस्तक फैलेगी, जो वेस्टर्न इंडोलॉजी वाले लोग हैं वो तो हमारी बदनामी करेंगे, वो तो हमें पता ही है. I need scholars to respond. I can't respond all myself. Maybe the Shingeri people will also fight, because ये कौन आदमी है, who is he to tell us क्या करना चाहिए? Maybe. I hope not. Maybe the Murthy people will file also कि ये who is he telling us it's our millions of dollars, we do what we want, or why is he bothering? I don't think the Murthy family themselves will want to speak, but they can get other people to do it. Media wale, they are all for sale. So I have many kind of people who are going to come filing at me. The worst is our own Hindu intellectuals and activists. Lot of them are angry at me for various reasons. Some are jealous. Some don't want me included. They'll do their own seminar somewhere and keep me out. Same बातें वो निकाल के बोल जाएंगे. But they don't have वो गहराई में understanding नहीं है. But they want to claim it as theirs. A quick limelight without the tapasya. That's the problem we have. But some people, and you are the most important ally in this final problem I'm going to discuss. Most important ally is you to help me. Some people who are traditional scholars are angry because they say, who are you to say all this? Ganesh Shatavadhani lives here. I've met him, been to his house. Great respect for him. We invited him as chief guest for one of my events. Not only turned it down, he said, I don't like this fellow, who is he writing all these things? In other words, it's almost like he's threatened कि उनका अधिकार, I'm somehow interfering with his stature. But I'm not. I'm not saying कि जो संस्कृत traditional वाला है उसकी जरूरत नहीं है, nor am I saying कि हम उसका मुकाबला कर सकते हैं. I cannot. He knows 100 times more than me. But जो उनका काम है, it has not been able to produce even one Purva Paksh of Western Indology, not one. And in this book I write, challenge to traditional scholars, who has produced Purva Paksh of this much detail? Because I talked to so many scholars, they said कि हमारे बस की बात नहीं है. So traditional scholars should be feeling happy with me because I'm doing a job helping them, which will open the door, help them, rather than feeling angry at me that I'm making them look bad, rather than feeling threatened कि ये काम कर रहा है तो our fault is coming out and we should hit him, attack him and tell him not to be doing all these things. Who is he? So when these insiders attack me, indirectly they're helping the outsiders because they're dividing us up. Indirectly they're helping the outsiders because they're telling me ये काम मत किया जाए, you're not allowed to do this. If I'm not allowed to do this, then you please do it. I would love it if the traditional scholars would wake up and start doing all this. That is my agenda. I want to provoke the insiders in order to get rid of me, that they will start doing this work. Because if the insiders start doing this work, I can retire finally. Because for 25 years I left my business to do this work. Now finally I'll at least say, okay, now these people are doing it, ये अच्छे लोग हैं, इन्हीं का काम है, they are very qualified, तो अब मैं आराम करके retire कर सकता हूँ. I will be so happy if the insiders take this job and kick me out because I'm not needed then. But until they do that, I'm going to be around. Until the insiders take this job, I'm going to be around. So I will stop with that and take questions. Thank you. Mera kya, you have to come in front. The video people want, there should be a, maybe you announce how to do it. Do you have a mic?
You take the seat there.
Okay.
I'll just step in. My name is Mohan, and here's a small protocol that we follow for the question answer session. Keep the questions brief and direct. What, where, how, why, if. These are kinds of things that you should ask, right? Maybe one or two sentences. Please come to the front, right? We'll have you all here, one at a time. You have a place here. The reason is very simple. You asking Rajiv ji the question will be videotaped, and that video is going to be watched by a lot. It's not that you're asking a question to clarify your doubt. A lot of people get their doubt clarified on the video too, right? And the idea is just that the video man shall capture both of you together. So who's going to come first? Yeah, please come. Just your name and then your... Come. Yeah, that's the place.
Yeah, my name is Ravi Kumar sir, and I am proud to say I am your ally. And I would like to ask just two simple questions. There is a lot of emotional content in our support to Samskriti and also Sanskrit, our tradition. And there is also an admixture of intellectual support. And I want to ask you, should it be a combination of both or just intellectual support?
Very good question. I have coined a term, I have two terms. Already existed term intellectual Kshatriya, and I'm doing workshops. On 19th we have a workshop for intellectual Kshatriya, and I'm also coining the term emotional Kshatriya. Emotional Kshatriya is somebody who thinks he's intellectual but actually he's just bombastic. Bombastic है, उसकी बदनामी की, उसको इंसल्ट किया, उसके मुंह पर पेंट लगा दिया, उसको throw a stone at him, threaten कर दिया. I don't think this particular battle will benefit with emotional outbursts. We will get a bad name, and the people we need on our side as intellectuals will walk away. You see, India में 25% लोग हैं जो solid Vedic Hindu धर्म के में जमे हुए हैं. The rest is all people who vote this way, that way, but they're not solid in it. 25% are really solid Hindu dharmic practitioners, adhyatmic insiders. They will fight, they will invest, this is their life. 25% are totally anti-Hindu. Left ho gaya, ye wo ho gaya. Middle 50% are confused. Middle 50% is my market. That is my target. I'm not trying to convince the 25% who are already convinced. Unko, like people here, they get more ideas from me, and it makes them more, make them better to argue and debate. But they are already on our side. I'd like to upgrade them, that is good. The 25% who are against us, I am wasting my time if I don't want to bother. Except to debate with them and show our people how to debate with them. That I do. Not to change their mind, but to show how I can debate with them. My real target is middle 50%. अब जो middle 50% के लोग हैं, when our 25% solid Hindus become emotional, these middle 50% get turned off. To win them over, we have to use logic. We have to be intelligent. So emotional, out of control, anger, वो ठीक नहीं है. But emotion can be a very positive thing when you channel it like bhakti में. Emotion, bhakti is also emotion. But bhakti is a very positive use of emotion. So those who are emotionally inclined, who can't read, understand intellectual discourse, they can do so many things. They can organize events, they can do, we need to get some funding because the Sanskrit University yesterday told me they're going to organize some top scholars to read this book and help me develop more answers. But they said we need funding. अब मैं कहाँ से funding लाऊं? So there are other things that emotional people can do. They can lobby, they can write petitions, but it has to be done in a wise way, in a self-restrained way. It has to be done. They can do social media support, but they should not have they should not go and abuse, because then हमारी बदनामी भी होती है. That is my suggestion.
The second question is a little mischievous.
What?
Mischievous.
Mischievous.
Thing is, like you approached the Sringeri Jagadguru for a small compromise before your book was published. Did you make any effort to approach Narayan Murthy?
No. I want the book to come out. I want the book to be presented. He should read the book. He's an intelligent man. I respect him. I happen to disagree with their strategy, but I have no disrespect for them or their family. They are good, decent people. They are honest people, very honest people. They have a certain ideological view. Their ideological view is that the future of Sanskrit and Sanskrit studies should be in the safe custody of Americans. I disagree with that. I think unless you are practicing it in your home and in your own soil, और आपकी धरती पे, आपकी भारत में, हमारे यहाँ पर, this is the land जहाँ पर संस्कृति का home है, यहीं होना चाहिए. The same money, giving one chair here or giving millions of dollars to translate, that same money can produce a lot of benefit here only. They should fund Samskrit Bharati writing more books. They should fund more schools. They should fund that. Rather than funding somebody जो हमारी चोरी करके, they will call it their knowledge, English में उनके author लिख के ले जाएंगे. Rather than funding them to take our knowledge and feeling very proud कि देखो हमारी knowledge कहाँ चली जाएगी. हाँ, it's like saying कि हम आपके घर चोरी कर रहे हैं, but you should be very very proud कि जब हम अपने घर में जब आपकी पेंटिंग लगाएंगे, आपका जो हीरे वेरे लगाएंगे, हाँ, we will say कि देखो इनके घर से आए थे. हाँ, that is a foolish thing for us to accept. So I want to be very straight with them that they have not even appointed a traditional Vedic, traditional Sanskrit panel of reviewers to review every translation, make sure it complies with the traditional view. At least they should say, no book will be published without review of our own traditional people. They should say that. Anyone who does software knows what is meant by software review. हम भी software लिखते थे. हम लिखते थे, then another team of software reviews it. And there are some corporate standards it has to live. You have to check it. So some standards for translation should be established by the tradition. Certain words will not be translated. They can't be translated. The ones which are translated should be translated correctly. How to interpret certain things. What assumptions about chronology and history. All these are very serious things. पहली पुस्तक को translate करने के पहले इस पर बहस होनी चाहिए थी. They should have spent the first $1 million or whatever they are spending, the first bunch of money on lot of discussion and debate कि ये translation के किस विचार से translation होगी. फिर शुरू करते हैं. उन्होंने ये bypass कर दिया, सिर्फ उनको पैसा दे दिया. That I think is wrong.
Just a small request, Rajiv ji. Some of the audience are Kannadigas. They are not really fluent with your Hindi. So if you could speak in English, that will be really nice.
Yesterday I was told कि आप हिंदी में बोलें अच्छा रहेगा.
Oh, sorry. So this is a little feedback. Not everybody, most of them understand.
Okay.
You are there.
Fine.
So.
Hello. My name is Narendra Devdas.
थोड़ा दूर.
And, okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. And I've learned a lot from Rajiv ji. And I have one question. Most of us haven't read Bhagavad Gita, but we respect it enough. So when you quote Bhagavad Gita in your books, we all have a reference point. For example, when you address Purva Paksha, there are tamasic people, rajasic people, and sattvic people. And the rajasic people who become tamasic are rakshasas. So can we classify all the institutions and the Western culture according to Bhagavad Gita and respond to them appropriately? That's my question.
I didn't understand the question.
Can we respond to the Western scholars according to the Bhagavad Gita?
According to Bhagavad Gita, calling them Rajasic and Tamasic.
According to gunas. Yeah. When I speak to somebody, I look at them and say they're coming from Rajas, Tamas, or Sattva.
Fine.
Sattva has no arguments because they're unselfish. Rajas has selfish component. And Rajas can be worse than Tamas if it is used badly.
No, ठीक है. The question is, can I classify them according to the guna system? That is the point.
Yeah.
You should ask question very quick. So can we use guna system to classify Western Indologists? That's the question. Yes, we can do that. My purpose is to look at the output they've produced on its own merit, rather than the quality of who produced it. If Einstein is declared to be a corrupt man, immoral, he was doing bad things, it has nothing to do with whether his theory of relativity is good or bad. People, if gravitation as developed by the theory, laws of gravitation developed by Newton, if it is proven that Newton was a badmash, he was a scoundrel, then airplane will not start falling down because gravitation is gone. The nature of reality is independent of how somebody is understanding it, his understanding and interpretation of it. Similarly, one could argue, it is possible for a corrupt man to be a brilliant chess player. It is possible for a Rajasic, Tamasic man to hit century in cricket. I have to evaluate him what score he had. सीधी बात है. I want to convince our people who are in the middle, who will not believe in this argument कि आपने उसको Rajas कह दिया है, अब हमको, we don't believe in it, maybe, we don't know, maybe you are also Rajas, maybe that guy is also Rajas. Then we have moved the debate to something else rather than the debate where it ought to be. The debate ought to be कि उन्होंने ये लिखा है और उसमें ये गलत है. Who he is irrelevant. What is his character is irrelevant. हमने उससे शादी तो करनी नहीं कि हमको उसका कैरेक्टर चाहिए. एक बात सुनिए. I'm not hiring him as an employee. या कोई बेटी की शादी हो रही है. I'm not doing anything like that. I don't care उसका character कैसा है. What is his work like? It will be an easier job to dismiss somebody on character grounds. It is a more difficult job to do Purv Paksh on his work. I am doing the more difficult job because once I have refuted a piece of work on logic, on merit, it's a more solid thing. Because suppose I were to refute it based on his character, कल कोई अच्छा सात्विक character आके वही बोले, then what happens? And he will say, no, I've got this Swami there and that Guru there, and they are all my chelas and they are going to say good things and they are all vegetarians and they are sattvic people. अब वो भी कहना शुरू कर दें. How will I answer? And let me tell you, these people have many good sattvic people on their payroll. or at least Sattvic looking, Sattvic sounding. अब हमारे पास we don't have a scanner to look at वो असल में private life में क्या कर रहा है. I am telling you, major scholars in the Rashtriya Sanskrit Sansthan, you know some of them, and in Mysore University and in Delhi University, big names are on their payroll. So those guys are going to come up and stand and say, hum keh rahe hain, put it on our name. So I cannot do my argument based on character of one or two people. It is the wrong thing. Our strategy is better to do the hard work and refute the logic and the argument of what they've written.
I didn't say that we should ignore them. I said we should consider their origin.
Yeah, we can also add it. Theek baat.
It is difficult to judge a person on his gunas, like you said, because it is subconsciously driven.
Yeah.
But the subconscious of a country is in its history.
Yes.
When you look at the history, you know what its most motivation is. So it is the common culture of those people, and they will not budge. Because we are driven 95% by a common culture and not by intelligence.
Yeah, I have a chapter, I think it's chapter 2, where I give the history of European Orientalism, their history, which is a Tamasic history and Rajasic history, and the history of American Orientalism, their slavery, the genocides, what all they did, how that is influencing the thought process of today's Indologists. So हमने वो भी केस दिया है. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Malhotra ji. This is the first time I am listening to you. But even before that, I am introduced to your thoughts. In fact, I have gone through that Breaking in India. The 50% to whom you are concerned about, you mentioned. I also feel that is the most vital thing to be attacked. If I may add a little word there, that 50% are those, in my own understanding, who have no vested interest, but they are not only confused because they are more misinformed. In fact, in my little interaction with my own family and friend circles, to propagate the idea, I made them the best. I thought the least I can do is make them read your books. For example, Breaking in India. Very unfortunately, I have been doing it for more than a year. I could not make even one person read the book. So now in this context, I feel, from which will flow a specific question to you, is that while this is a process we have to go on relentlessly, it is going to be very slow and painful. Which means this needs to be brought in on knowledge of somebody who is really powerful and who matters a lot and who can do things if he wants. In this context, my specific question is, did you bring this to the notice of our current Prime Minister?
Yes, they know my work. Prime Minister knows my work. He's endorsed my book, Being Different, on the cover. Until elections were going on, I was doing Google Hangouts. They were calling me to do Google Hangouts to train their youth and answer questions, how to debate. After that, they've been busy with their own things and I don't want to interfere.
Yeah.
They know where I am. They know I'm on a tour. If they want, they can call me. So I am not, see, I also have to make sure I'm doing my Swadharma.
Yeah.
And my Swadharma is very clear to all of you what I'm trying to do. Jisko hamari zarurat hai, anybody want to invite me, I'm happy to go. Okay. But if they don't invite, I can't go uninvited. Theek baat hai na? So, institutional support, government support would amplify the effectiveness 100 times. Why it hasn't come, I'm not an institutional insider and I don't want to be a member of any institution because I lose my freedom. Whatever makes me special in my own way is because I'm a free thinker and I'm not affiliated and not patronizing any group, political, religious, anything. I'm a free thinker. So, but somehow certain groups have a tendency that they will support only people from within. This is their choice, their policy. I can't do anything about it. But I have to do my work.
Yeah. Only one question, sir. Could you have a personal one-to-one meeting with him? Did you have?
It is not so easy to get that. I've had it before election, lot of them. But I'm not somebody who can help win some Bihar election or something like that. I cannot, I cannot do these things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I cannot do, help come up with some case against Sonia Gandhi and all. I cannot do this. Yeah. So my purpose is different. This shift in our thinking towards our Sanskriti is multi-generational. It will be a my job is I have 15 more books to write, 15 in different stages. I'll be happy if I can finish those. I want to write them fast, I need help, I need assistance, I need, whatever. I've written 5 and my books tend to be very big. Each book is like 4 or 5 normal books because उसमें बहुत कुछ लिखा हुआ है. So I have lot of original research that I want to produce. अब उसको distribute करना, फैलाना, उसको सिंपल तरीके से निकालना, डॉक्यूमेंट्रीज बनाना, इंस्टीट्यूशनलाइज करके सिखाना, वो भी काम है, वो और लोगों का काम है. Others should come and say that we will create a NGO, we will create an organization, we will take these 5 books and we will make them into curriculum, and we will make it into English curriculum, Hindi curriculum, Sanskrit curriculum. We put these ideas. Other people should do that. I can't do everything. If you are an R&D person, you are not necessarily the factory that is mass producing the product. You've invented something, you developed something. Others should then take it. And then others should market it. Others should advertise it. So I should depend on help from other people rather than me having to do everything myself. Yeah? Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Srinivasan. I have 2 questions, quick ones. Do we really think the Western scholars that you are debating or inviting them for debate have an ulterior motive, or is an organized crime, for lack of other words?
Okay, do they have ulterior motive? So, it's like, forget Western scholars, look at Indians, ask the question, why is the Indian left so against Hinduism? Unka kya motive hai? If you can answer that, it's the same kind of people. Why is the Indian left so anti-Hindu? Partly it's ideological. The Charavaks were not with bad motive. They were convinced of some point of view. I mean, not everybody is born in a certain way and has the grace to understand things the way we understand it. So some of it is ideologically they're convinced of something. No, because this education is not intellectual level conviction. आप argue करें उनके साथ वो बहस करते जाएंगे. There is an ego in the way. That transformation is an adhyatmic transformation. It is not done very easily by logic, because logic will resist करेंगे, fight करते जाएंगे. So some of it is like that. Some of it is that it's fashionable. Their point of view has become very fashionable. This in the media it is very fashionable. Also, they feel that our point of view represents backwardness, old primitive kind of stuff. And so there are a lot of factors that have come into play. It has become a very ordinary, normal way of thinking to bash the Vedic system, to keep bashing it as something. So ये जो लोग join करते हैं वो उस तरह के विचार में, you can't say they have ulterior motive. Some are confused, some are ulterior motive also, some are because some of our people are also doing wrong things. So combination of many factors.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Ravindra and I am your ally.
Good. I need allies.
I must say that I am deeply indebted to people like you and Dr. Subramanian Swami. My question is, I have listened to you for 1.5 hours and I agree with each word of yours. But I get a feeling that our approach has generally been defensive rather than counter-offensive. How about looking at that angle also? So we have been, for example, we have been shrinking from Afghanistan to now North Kashmir and even Pathankot. We try to defend and give dossiers. How about counter-offensive, even in this field?
Yeah, even in this field, this book is a counter-offensive. The battle for Sanskrit is not just defending, it is also showing how to counter-attack. This book is, you read it, you will find there is a lot of counter-attack where we are taking the offensive. We are not only defending ourselves, we are finding big issues and problems with what they are doing. Counter-attacking their philosophy, their religion, their way of life. I do that all the time.
Hello sir, my name is Guru Prasad and I've been a follower of your Twitter for quite some time. And I think from what you have read out so far from this book, this is a good weapon to the people to counter all the anti-Hindu that you have described in Breaking India and being different. The ideological philosophy that has been monetized by Western culture so far to undermine India and Sanskriti. Now, only thing is this operates at a very intellectual level. And so many times we have problem convincing our own people, saying that what they are seeing the Western people do is wrong. Because our own people have gone through the same education system that Westerners have put in place for us, which is building the administrative services, which is building our Western education there, here in all our schools. How do you bring this at a grassroots level so that even children will study our own culture? I mean,
so I think how to bring it at a grassroots level is what Sanskrit Bharati is doing. That is why I am here. That is why I want to collaborate with them. I want that 12 chapters of this book can each become a small little book in Sanskrit. And part of the teaching of Sanskrit should be also teaching them how we are being attacked and how to counter-attack. So we must teach that.
Hello sir, good afternoon. I am Manchnath. I am a software professional in Bangalore.
Yes.
Yeah. So I have two questions. One is in our previous generation during schools and all, they used to chant prayers and all. And now I am afraid even if we take some kavyams or any other studies in school regular curriculum, they might say it is Hinduism or something like that. Like how can people realize that we can be ourselves and friendly with everyone? So being a Hindu is not a communal, but we can be ourselves and friendly with everyone. That's how our nation can be. So how to convince people?
Okay, so let me repeat. First question is that even if we take some Hindu carving or symbol, we can be accused in the school. You know, you have to fight it. You have to take it to court. You cannot ban somebody wearing a turban. You cannot ban somebody wearing a hijab. You cannot do that. You cannot ban somebody wearing a cross. So why do you want to ban somebody who's wearing a bindi or wearing a symbol or taking a murti? You have to ask for equal treatment. That is up to you to fight it in courts if you feel that that is going on.
Yeah, in Telangana there was a school when a girl on a festival day when she has come with bindi and flowers, she was punished.
So then they have to take it to court. It should be, rather than getting emotional, you take it to court and say this violates that law of freedom of expression and freedom of religion. You have to take it to court.
And I would also everybody should realize that being Hindu is not communal.
Yes.
You can be still
correct.
Secular.
Correct.
And my second question is tiger symbolizes India, so national animal.
What symbolizes?
Tiger.
Tiger.
Tiger symbolizes India, so national animal. Peacock symbolizes India, so national bird. And the 4 lions in Ashoka pillar symbolize India, so national emblem. But we don't have a national language. Many of us believe that Hindi is a national language, but it is one of the official languages. So how can we get to a situation like making Sanskrit as a national language so that everybody learns and thereby realizes, it symbolizes India. It's part and parcel of the culture.
So how can Sanskrit be made into a national language?
Yes.
I think this is something the Sanskrit Bharati people are already working on, already trying, and we should support them. Let different projects be led by different people. So what I want to lead is the Purva Paksha of the West. That is more than enough for me. Let Sanskrit Bharati lead grassroots, getting Sanskrit as national language. I will help them in their projects, they will help me in my projects. That's how we do it. We specialize in different things and help each other.
Namaste sir, I am Aditya and I just wanted to represent each and every youth present here, and I just wanted to ask you regarding why our subconscious mind will tempt for foreign culture. Why our subconscious mind tempt for foreign culture?
Well, the subconscious mind tempts for foreign culture because it's the role model being celebrated in the media. The role models in the media are people who wear certain clothes, have certain lifestyle. We have an association that there is more money and success and fun, and we are poor and not as good. I think this is a recent product of history. It was not so before in earlier times. In fact, British used to come in the 1700s and so on, and want to dress up like Indians, and many of them would get Indian wife also, and they want to get an Indian name because it was considered more aristocratic, more sophisticated in those days. Indians were rich, you see. So it was fashionable. So now the fashion has shifted. If somebody comes as a sadhu, it is considered that must be backward guy. Actually, the sadhu is a very important person in our society, and we have to really respect the sadhus. So I believe that when more and more people when you start respecting the traditional symbols, the traditional language, the traditional vocabulary, you live that life and you are proud of it and you are not embarrassed, I think that more and more people get courage to do that. So
I work at Accenture, but I don't, I respect their culture also, but where is our sanskar heading towards?
Where is our sanskar heading
towards?
Not good. Our sanskar is actually degrading quite rapidly. This is a very serious problem. We are not holding on to our values in our personal life. This is a very serious problem. And this has become over hundreds of years. So changing this requires pioneers like you people. Pioneers who defy, who resist the trend and who say, I'll be different. Let people make fun of me. I'll be different. We need more people like that.
Okay, sir. So will we lose our identity?
Yes, we are already losing our identity. We already have lost much of our identity. Part of it is we have not invested in developing our own smritis, our own new ideas, new shastras. We have not. We cannot go back to some old imagined Vedic era. We have to take the Vedic principles and move forward. So we need innovative scholars, innovative leaders who are able to do all that. Thank you.
So the next question has been written for you. So if you could share your opinion.
There is what is your opinion on a particular book I haven't read, so I can't.
So he is giving you a copy of the book.
Then after I read it, I've seen this. I have seen this. I have seen this book. I haven't read it carefully, but I have a copy of this. No, I have a soft copy. Soft copy is very light to carry. It's very light to carry. I have a copy. Yeah, I keep PDFs because I can carry everywhere I go. Yeah, hard copy. I have a few thousand books in my home, and I don't know what to do with them, where to keep them, and all that. So people keep sending me things. But if they send me a soft copy, I can keep it and read it. But I already have this one. But thank you so much. Thank you.
Rajiv ji, namaste. My name is Pandarinath. I have 3 questions of points.
Close by.
Yeah, I have 3 points of questions to make today. So you'd said that our Samskriti and our language has been most commented upon among all the cultures in the world. What is in our Samskriti or Sanskrit that attracts so much of negative reaction from the so-called scholars?
Well, the history
I'll ask these 3 questions together so you can consolidate fashion for the answer. The next question is, there's a lot of conflict in terms of the views of our Samskriti by outsiders and the insiders. Insiders representing the true values and outsiders representing the distorted view of things. I would like to know, if you have thought on the clear or internal agenda that these outsiders have, so that a clarity on that understanding of their agenda would actually take our battle into their barracks. And the last thing is, Murthy and Sringeri Matswamiji, you mentioned 2 personalities who actually represent the 2 ends of a very wide spectrum, and one on the business side of things, another one on the religious side of things. Both of them are still joining the Western bandwagons as of today, even in the modern world, the clear understanding of the conflict that's going on between outsiders and insiders. So,
okay, I got the 3 questions. Let me answer. Yeah. Third one. Sringeri Shankaracharya is not joining the Western. His administrators were doing it. Sringeri Shankaracharya himself not doing it. He was not properly briefed. So, I have great hope that he'll do the right thing. That's the best I can hope for. But he relies on administrators to tell him what's going on outside, in the Vivarika world outside. And it is these administrators who go flying around, they go to New York, they're felicitated, they're given a lot of stuff, and they're, you know, they are cultivated by other people. So it is not the Shankaracharya himself. I just want to be clear. Now, but there are other examples of spiritual leaders who are sold out. I wrote a recent article on the Kumbh Mela and how it's being hijacked by Harvard and so on. I didn't name people, but there is one exceedingly well-known Swami with a huge ashram in Rishikesh who's totally on the side of the other people. They look after him, turned him into an international celebrity, and he's the one who gets things done inside. A few politicians in the government are sold out, and with different parties even. So the spiritualist selling out is going on. Shankaracharya I would not give as an example of that. I don't think so. At least I don't know. Murthy is a left-wing guy. That is his point of view. So Murthy is no different than all the other left-wing guys. He just became a rich left-wing guy, but he's a left-wing guy. So these are complicated matters. You know, there is some people are into in their personal life, they're also very religious. They will have a murti at home, they'll have a temple, but then when they go out publicly, they take a very different stand. I know a lot of people like that. So there's a hypocrisy also, private versus public. It's not just insider versus outsider. The insider's private and the insider's public could be different. The outsider's private and the outsider's public could also be different. So you have a very complicated matrix you have to look at. The first two I've already answered in this book. You should read this book. What are the reasons, what is the historical reasons that led to so many outsiders studying our culture rather than others? It has to do with colonialism, it has to do with us losing the Purva Paksha. A very important thing I discuss in this book is, why did Purva Paksha end? When Purva Paksha was on, we were vigilant about others, because you know what the others are doing in the Purva Paksha. But why the Purva Paksha end? When the early Christians came, we did not do Purva Paksha. Later Christians came, we did not do. When the Muslims came, we did not do. When colonialists came, Marxists came, postmodernists came, we have stopped the Purva Paksha since early times. Why? I'm giving answers in this book. What are the 5-6 reasons we stopped doing Purva Paksha? I think that is what led to, we became kind of inviting anybody to come and take over. And what is their agenda, who these people are, the whole machinery of Indology I've uncovered here, the machinery, the Kurukshetra, Indology Kurukshetra, I'm giving the map of that Kurukshetra in this book.
Namaste Rajiv ji, my name is Hemant. My question is, can you explain the difference between modernity and post-modernity?
Between modernity and post-modernity, very good question. What is the difference between modernity and post-modernity? Western thought has 3 eras which don't apply to us. So I'm answering it in the Western context, then I'll tell you why it doesn't apply to us. They have something called tradition or pre-modernity, which is before science came. That was the age when the church was running everything. They were dictators. The church used to issue edicts like fatwas. They did not call it fatwas, they called it bull. Maybe, I don't know why they called it bull. Maybe it has to do with bullshit. I don't know. But the Pope would issue bull. That this is bull number such and such. Then that was like fatwa. So it was like a dictatorship of the Vatican. Long time. Then comes modernity. Modernity is when there is challenge to that. Secularism begins. Science, there is a role for science and a separate role for religion, kept separate. And science develops many, many things. Industry starts, technology starts, capitalism starts. That whole thing where science, technology, capitalism, free enterprise, material success, all of it fed by colonial loot, which they don't talk about. Okay, they don't talk about the role of colonial loot and slavery and genocide to feed the modern era. There would have been no modernity without colonial loot, without slavery. Slaves were working on the land, and the land was taken away from the Native Americans. They were genocided. So one group is genocided to get their land, the other group is slave to provide labor, and that is the rise of the whole wealth. All these guys who are rich billionaire tycoons, all these Philip Morris cigarette company, they were slave owners. All kind of these Rockefellers, these oil tycoons, they were basically taking over native lands when they would find oil and kick them out and take that oil. It's all done on that. Okay, so modernity of Europe, modernity of the United States has a lot of these things in the skeleton which nobody wants to talk about. So the era of modernity, they're very proud, is a great science, great technology, and you have to give that credit. You can't just say that they're bad guys. They may be tamasic, rajasic, but they've also done brilliant things. They have done brilliant things. Now, post-modernity started mostly in the 20th century after realizing that modernity had produced some very ugly things. One thing modernity produced is the communist revolution, and the other thing it produced is the Nazism. Both were the modern societies in Europe end up reaching that. Rather than reaching higher and higher standard, they reach this kind of a thing. So there is a crisis. And then post-modernity is the fashion now. Post-modernity attacks modernity. It attacks modernity and it attacks all the grand narratives. Because the European grand narrative was very violent. The Christian grand narrative did a lot of violent things. So they attack the grand narratives. Indians who are into this field, lacking knowledge of our own tradition, lacking the knowledge of our own texts, suffering from inferiority complex, wanting to mimic what the West is doing, brought the post-modernity and started deconstructing the Indian grand narrative. Like they are criticizing their grand narrative because of slavery, because of all these exclusivity and violence. So these people were educated by the Westerners that now you start doing it on your own. So they started this deconstruction and critique of Vedic stuff and our itihas and our dharma as being violent and bad, copying the same thing the West doing. Now we are supposed to do it, except we are doing it more seriously. The student is even better than the teacher. Yeah. So that is post-modernity. Now post-modernity does not apply to us, in my opinion. The three categories of tradition, modernity, post-modernity in our case are not sequential. It is not one destroyed by the other, then destroyed by the other. In their case, they believe that one thing exists, it has to destroy the previous one. There's always a fight going on. We are simultaneously traditional, modern and postmodern, simultaneously. Vedas have the qualities of the tradition, qualities of modernity, which is logic, analysis, free-thinking, marketing, challenging, and the postmodern, because when you look at Shruti, when you look at higher state of consciousness beyond the ego, higher state of consciousness where the logic of the ego, which is a modernity kind of an ego, can be transcended. Yeah. So at the same time, we don't throw out any of those. I live a Vyavharik life, very modernistic life. I also live a Paramarthik life, which is traditional and postmodern both. So, those categories we cannot apply the same way here, because we are simultaneously all of that. I've written a lot on this issue of tradition, modern and postmodern. I've been writing for 20 years these kind of things.
They are being different also.
It's in being different also, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
नमस्ते राजीव जी, मैं आपका बीइंग डिफरेंट एंड ब्रेकिंग इंडिया सबको फॉलो करता हूँ. As I see these days, the books that are being written in West, say for example Windy, what she is writing, when I read those books, my blood boils. But what makes them write all those? And also if I look at the national media and all across the Western era, they have been funded enough. And all those people are getting funded so popularly that they do research. Here we lack funding and we lack research, both of them. I know personally many of them in JNU who are traditional scholars, but they talk in leftist language just for the sake that they're being funded. Now I'm talking of what is Rajiv ji's next steps, because we want a brigade of people, not one Rajiv ji, to continue this further. So I won't call it institutionalization of Rajiv Malhotra, but the kings that were funded then, can we make the same way that they fund them and we have a brigade of people who do research on the thought process that you're putting across? What are your plans on that?
So I'm doing a workshop on the 19th, you should come. Talk to Mohanji, he'll tell you we're doing an intellectual Kshatriya workshop here in Bangalore on the 19th to discuss these points. To discuss, I'm going to tell you this is my need, these are projects I want you guys to do. Because after talking all these days, then it's my turn to say I need your help. So these are the things I want, who will help me? Okay, so that is the kind, what you are raising are the kind of issues I want to discuss, where people who want to help should understand where the help is needed. And that is the way to, I think, tackle what you want to do, because I need that help. Yeah, thank you.
Namaskara, my name is Ravi. I have a question for you.
Your name is, you're reading your name, tell me.
No. My name is Ravi.
Huh?
My name is Ravi.
Ravi, good.
What are your views and opinions on the work of Srikant Talagiri?
Okay, I know Srikant Talagiri. I met him once in Bombay. A couple of times I met him in conferences. I think he's done some very, very deep history research. He's a historian of ancient history and trying to look at the linguistic evidence, Vedic evidence, astronomical evidence, various kinds of evidence, Indus Valley evidence, to try and put together a history together. I think he needs to also update it with genetic evidence. There is now DNA evidence, and more new discoveries are being found. There is a place in Haryana which is the largest Indus Saraswati site ever, bigger than Harappa and all of that. Many new things being found. There is a skeleton, first time, a skeleton with DNA from the Indus era has been found. I read some article somewhere. Now this will be very interesting. This will be, and Vasant Shinde, whom my foundation funded one of his books in the History of Science and Technology series. He is the Vice Chancellor something in Deccan College. He's an archaeologist. I was supposed to go and give my the keynote address at his conference on Deccan College, but dates wise and all I didn't go. This time I was supposed to go. He has a paper that he hasn't presented publicly, but he's going to publish it soon, on analysis of the DNA of the earliest specimen they found in the Indus Valley with skeleton. And he claims that this will completely revise everybody's view of history of who's from where and all that. So I'm very interested in knowing that. So Talagiri has done, this is a job of solving a jigsaw puzzle with many pieces of evidence. And Talagiri is a very smart man. He's doing a very good job. I wish people would fund somebody like him so he could quit his bank job. He's got a bank job. He's doing it as a hobby. Somebody like that, you should fund it so he spend full time. But we don't have funds for. I don't get any support. I mean, if I wanted to bring him into my foundation and say, okay, you do this, kaam karo, we need funding for that. So he's doing it part time, but doing whatever best he can. However, there is an avalanche of new data, which will require a lot of work to update his stuff and keep this new data.
Yeah, my other question was related to that. Why such works are not considered seriously by academics, and why these people, don't get fellowships, scholarships? But he got a conditional scholarship from. Yeah,
and they don't get invited to these literary festivals. They're not invited and all that. Yeah. My case is that I'm like I would have been exactly like Talagiri, unknown. But I went out and started fighting on my own, for myself. Koi mere liye help nahi karega, apne aap ke liye karenge apne. Because nobody is going to do it for me. I keep telling you to Talagiri, you go out and first time maybe 10 people will come. You keep on your tour, you're based in India, keep doing it. After a few years, hundreds of people will come. So he has to build his own self, following like that. It's very difficult to do this. It is so difficult to do what we are doing, and more people just attacking and trying to interfere. Some are jealous, some are angry because they are on the other side, but some people on our side are very jealous. This is a very sad thing we have. Talagiri is excluded because he's smarter than most of these guys. They'd rather pick what he's done and talk about it and all that in a very diluted way and keep him out. Very sad.
Okay, thank you.
Namaste, मेरा नाम है परिमला. I want to ask you, what is the reason outsiders are going to achieve by snatching Samskrita from us?
By doing what?
Snatching from us. What is the secret they know about Sanskrit and we don't know about it? And what is their fear that they are keeping Samskrita away? They want to keep Samskrita away from us. And the last question is, अगर हमारे भारत के कोने-कोने में संस्कृत पहुंच जाए, तो तब भारत कैसा लगेगा, and what will be the effect of that for the whole world?
So, obviously, the third one is, of course, if you were to put Sanskrit of college every corner of India, it would be a fantastic thing. It would be fantastic. This is what I think Samskrit Bharati want to do, and I'm happy that they're trying to do it. It's an amazing organization that you are part of. All of you should be very proud and very grateful to your leaders for doing this. Yeah. Now, what is the first two questions are basically what the couple people asked before. Yes. What is their agenda? Yes. And this book gives an agenda historically, psychologically, yeah, and also today what is the value. It answers these questions in a lot of detail, but it is not. You can't blame it on one man. There's a whole system of thinking which has started for a long time. And it is like bhed chal, bandwagon, people join that. You know, that's what it is. Thank you.
Dhanyavad.
I just want to make a small announcement. This book, Battle for Sanskrit, though not officially released, is available for sale at a very good discounted price. And Rajiv ji is going to autograph all those who would like to have the autograph after the question answer session and the vote of thanks. Just wanting to share this with you. The copies are available just downstairs. Yes.
My name is Chandrasekhar. We talked about, you briefly mentioned about the collusion between Brahmins and kings. To some extent, I feel it's still going on in a way. And until and unless we give the concept that one is a Brahmin or so forth by birth, it has to be based only on guna and equality. It won't help the spread of Sanskrit or to counter the leftist propaganda of against the Vedic traditions.
Yeah.
So I feel.
What is your question?
My question is, the spread of Sanskrit and to counter the propaganda of the leftists, the concept of one is so and so by birth should be gone. It should be based only on guna.
Yeah. I give that answer here. I have a whole theory of varna which is not by birth. I've given 15-20 page piece in this book just on that.
Yeah, I wish when Adi Shankara, not the present Shringeri Shankaracharya, he had elaborated a little bit when he prostrated in front of the hunter.
Yes.
I wish he had elaborated a little more.
Yeah.
And we have to open our heart.
No, what you are saying I already discussed. I just want to take questions, not a speech, but questions. Yeah, questions.
Sir, just wanting to share, we have just past 12:40, but we have several questions, and Rajiv ji wants to answer it. So please ask quick questions.
Let's do. These are the last questions.
Yeah.
Then I will sign the books.
Yes.
Thank you for your lecture, and I thank the Infinity Foundation for bringing out Marvel of Indian Ages, Marvel of Indian Eye and Through the Ages through Dr. Balasubramanian. I have two quick questions. Why is there an ideological bias in research in history that we do not find in research in natural sciences and physical sciences?
Well, because history has to do with identity. Natural sciences is neutral to identity. History has to do with a certain people's history, who won, who lost, who exploited whom. It has political value. It can be used politically to incite people, to get support from people, to give pride to people, to knock down people. Natural science is basically the nature of the universe that we are discovering, and it's not something owned by any particular person. It's not about people. As long as you're doing research on people, and it is different for different cultures and different civilizations, because history is like that, there's going to be political agendas. As long as you're doing research on nature, the cosmos, it's not about any people. So that's the reason why there is less prejudice there.
And the second quick question is, can we draw any lessons from the Israeli Jews who have successfully revived Hebrew in our attempts to revive Sanskrit?
Yeah, I have mentioned the Hebrew example here. Thank you. I think there's going to be more and more lines, but we have to, because I have another appointment, I have to go have lunch and rest and this and that. So I think, okay, good.
Hari Om, Namaste. My concern is about knowledge, channels of knowledge. Can we have an indigenous search engine? For example, whenever we Google, there is a lot of distorted matter we find. Whenever I want to get the translation something.
I think it would be wonderful to have searchable texts. Even before you do Google, there is no searchable, there is no place, you can do searchable biblical texts, Quran, Guru Granth Sahib, many texts are searchable. Not only the text, but all the commentaries and thousands of pages of the tradition are searchable. There is no Vedic tradition searchable text that I have found. So we need to first do that. Forget Google, we can even do our own site, our own website, make it searchable. I would love to do that.
And what I was, my concern is having indigenous search engine rather than using Google.
Yeah, so having our own search engine, now you're asking about somebody to create an IT project in an IT venture, then that's not a simple answer. Why not have an indigenous airplane? Why not have an indigenous operating system? I mean, we can keep talking like that. It's not a simple answer. Yeah.
1 to 2 years ago, there was a big fiasco on the introduction of Sanskrit in place of German in Kendriya Vidyalaya schools. My question is, why was it even a fiasco? Isn't there only advantages to learning Sanskrit?
It's political. It's politics. The controversy over whether to allow, not allow, is not on merit, it's political. I mean, I have nothing to add beyond what we already know from the media, why these scandals and all keep coming up. Next question, please.
Hello, Rajiv Malhotra. I have a question for you. I can hold that, okay? I have a question for you that, yes, just a few days back I was reading an article that India gave out around 1 million top technology and PhDs, basically rational thinkers, to work in US.
To what?
To work in US. Okay. And so that means we as in India did not have the benefit of having those 1 million people thinking and working about India. Do you think the medium of education, which is English, which is helping them, and how can we, or is it beneficial for us to have a Sanskrit as a medium for engineering, MBA and medical, so that we can have a more research on Ayurveda as well as not letting the brain drain happen.
Yeah,
how can we do that?
See, these are not specific to my book, but they are important questions about HRD policy. This is HRD policy.
Right.
HRD policy, and there are, I mean, I don't have access to any privileged way to do it.
It's more like, the HRD policy is in response to people's demands.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we say we leave it to the HRD, it might not work.
No, but
then,
they have the power. Rather than responding, you should propose to them and get enough people so they respond to you also.
Yeah.
Because I can't really, I have no authority to make any change.
Right.
We can go on discussing, it will not make a difference. People who can make a change, maybe at the state level or maybe at the central level.
So how to create Sanskrit as a social movement
Yeah.
towards this?
I think this
what
is,
kind of steps do you think?
This is Sanskrit Bharati's job, and they're starting it. They're doing very well, and just give them time, help them out. I'm not at all qualified that they are in social mobilization for Sanskrit. Sanskrit Bharati, I support them only.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Amol Sharma. So my question is, what would it take to make Sanskrit a modern language? That is, we can converse using smartphone. Like there's no word for smartphone. There's no word for internet. So what do we do to make that happen?
So that is a technology question. There is similar things are being done for other Indian languages already. And Sanskrit Bharati can work with some tech people and put this on smartphones and all that very easily. That is not there's no policy restriction preventing you. I know some people who are doing a lot of investment in making Hindi.
No, the question is not that. The question is, since there has been a disconnect from the last 1,000 years when actual Sanskrit was used and then not so much, and now again it is picking up. So how do we make sure that today's scenario is communicable using Sanskrit?
So this is a project for Sanskrit Bharati. I mean, they are popularizing at the grassroots, they're reviving Sanskrit. So the role of technology and all that is part of what they're doing. Right now they're doing in print, but I'm sure they're knowledgeable, smart, enterprising people. They'll also do this. So it is really a project for, I think we should move on. Yeah. It is really not my specialty, yeah.
Pranam Rajiv. There seems to be some sort of a double game with resort to Buddhism. Like in one case they say they conflict with Hinduism saying that it is egalitarian. On the other hand they also say that it is made with caste system, and when it went to China or Japan or elsewhere in South Asia, it also got
Okay, Buddhism, so I have a whole lot of material of Buddhism in this book. So read it. I have an appendix also challenging some of these views. Read my arguments and my data, then we can discuss.
At Sringeri Mat.
No, I think that's later. I have one question that I'm summarizing for her, Anuradha. She is the daughter-in-law of Bhairapak. Okay, the question is very simple. When you do Purvapakshan, people on the other side attack personally, and many of the scholars shrink. They shrink away from the fact that you have to have a platform that will allow them to talk more freely.
I'm not understanding.
They don't come to a live debate like you talked about Sheldon Scholars.
Right.
So how do we get them onto the platform, moving to the next level of how to become stronger allies?
How to bring whom to the platform?
The traditional scholars.
The Purva Paksha tradition. I am, in this book, provoking and challenging the traditional scholars to wake up and join me. I want to be invited into traditional groups next time I come here, where I will speak like the Western Indologist, and I want them to give me the answer. I will provoke them as a Westerner in the debate. Yeah, this is to trigger, stimulate ideas. Okay, quick question. Then we have to sign.
My name is Gayatri. This is regarding your statement that the countries like China, Japan and even Saudi Arabia, they are able to protect their language and culture. Why are we not able to do it? Is it an inherent weakness in the Indian
No,
culture?
this is a complex. In the book also I discuss what has to be done. It is government relationships, there is our own institutions have to be done, individuals have to do. So the problem of why we lost the civilizational battle in terms of defending is a very long old problem, and what to do about it is the last part of this book. That's where I'm answering this question. Thank you. So let's start signing.
Samskriта Bharati ahvanam angikritya agata Rajiv Malhotra Mahodayam Dhanyavadan samarpayami, and Dhanyavadan to all the participants. Thank you.
he was supposed to be here. He's a great such a good man. He's also we started future debates between me and him. And I got 30,000 hits right now online on YouTube. He's a good friend. Thank you, sir.